Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh of Bad, and today I want to briefly kind of go over some of the stats I've been collecting for the Zen LL video that I'm planning on kind of like doing like a very kind of in-depth research video. So I wanted to kind of present some of the research that I've been collecting, and then we'll also do some gameplay after this, but it's kind of just interesting to look at. So these are, I think, all of the events and decks where Zen has gotten first place, has gotten LL points, like confirmed LL points. So I've been tracking them here. They basically have like person's name, the date, the time, etc. And I've also kind of like tabulated like the LL points in total. I think I have roughly 800 accounted for at this point. I think if we're assuming that Zen has like 940 right now, which I don't know if that's accurate, because we're still kind of midway through the fourth week RTN. But if we have like 940 right now, subtract 793, we're missing roughly like 147, so 150. I think most of these are from like smaller PQ level events, which is kind of cool. So I think like most of the major events that I have here have been kind of accounted for, and I think the data is just kind of like really neat to look at. I also have like some deck lists associated with it. Some of these don't really have deck lists, or some of them I don't really have like the person's deck list because these are from like kind of like smaller RTNs, and I'm not entirely sure how to get in contact with these people. But if you have any data or anything else that you would like to add to the list, feel free to let me know. I've also been kind of like keeping track of like a separate, like almost like a timeline page, basically. This has been using the Internet Archive to basically figure out like when the LL points were updated. And it's kind of interesting because at some point the URL changed, so it added like a slash en at some point. And Carrie, one of my friends, actually like figured out that like the URL changed like right after like 826 or something like that. I almost thought that this data way back when was kind of lost, but apparently we do have that. And actually what I'm able to do is basically figure out what the LL points are at any given time, and then compare like the events that we have to when those events were occurring to like when the LL points are updated, and I can figure out like when the LL points I have are missing. So I think the majority of them are actually missing from like ProQuest London. I think there are 14 people who got LL points during ProQuest London, and I only have, I think, how many is this? I think I'm missing 60. So I think these two basically kind of like correlate to 60. But yeah, most of these I think are from like smaller level events like the RTNs, and then also kind of like the ProQuests. So it's a little bit hard to kind of figure out where exactly those are coming from. But if anyone has any data for when those events were and like who won those events, definitely feel free to reach out either on Discord or on YouTube or whatever. But this data is always just really interesting to look at. And we also kind of have some like important dates of like Zen LL, like Living Legend adjustment, which actually doesn't affect Zen at all, but just something to keep in note. And then also like the MST release, Bonds Band 1, Ardor Band. So definitely just some interesting things to kind of look at. But yeah, for today's video, what I actually wanted to do was I wanted to play a more recent RTN list. So this is from Krama. I think Krama has his own like YouTube channel and whatever. We'll see if we can find a link to that as well. But Krama, I think, was the Calling Osaka winner, and he's been playing. I think ever since Calling Osaka, he's been playing like a more combo-oriented list. So he's running like roughly 30 combo cards, and there's definitely a lot of like interesting ones in here. So one of the things I wanted to try out was like the Fluster Fist plus the Gust Wave thing, because you basically add like 2 0-for-4s in the deck. So what this I think allows you to do is like if you have like a Chi, right? You can just tutor for a 0-for-4. It doesn't have to be like Tiger Swipe, so you don't have to play the Tiger. Tutor for a 0-for-4, like Arsenal Tiger, and then like set yourself up for next turn, which is kind of cool. And just having a higher like combo count also means like stuff like Flicks gets better, stuff like Ancestral Harmony gets better. And yeah, just overall some like very cool stuff. Yeah, so the Warmongers here are kind of interesting. I think they're probably just into like blue padding into new. Vincent probably ends like maybe into Azalea. I don't know how many Azaleas are running around recently, but that has been kind of like a more stressful matchup for me. So definitely a little bit interesting to kind of like see those still sticking around. And then we've also got like a solid kind of like React package. We got the Tiger Eyes, we got the Wax-Ons, just like general kind of good stuff. No snags, nothing fancy. I think another kind of spicy piece of tech is Blanche. So Prism has been doing actually pretty well at the RT level, just because I think that Prism kind of eats on Syndra pretty well, and then also does fairly well into new. So Blanche is probably a decent tech choice because I think she's probably like the second or third most represented deck at this point. I think it's like New, Syndra, and Prism are like the top three or whatever. But Blanche is a pretty solid card, just good cyber tech. And yeah, this is pretty much the list. I want to kind of give this list a shot. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention one other thing about this list is that we're not running Tide Flippers, so it's just 5 equipment, which makes it kind of clean. And then Talisman, I think, is for CYB decks, but I haven't been the biggest Talisman fan. It's like fine, but it's sometimes hard to line up, at least in my opinion. What interests me most about this deck is kind of like the Gust Wave of the Second Wind and Fluster thing. I think this is to basically play around like Bonds of Agony, but just having like 2 0 for 4 combo cards, I'm wondering how that is going to perform. So this is like a very kind of like different list from what I'm kind of used to playing. Like it's a lot more kind of like zero cost oriented, like focused on playing like smaller hands, and trying to like I think there is like a little bit less consistency to this deck. Like your floor is probably a lot lower, but your ceiling might be end up being a lot higher. So I kind of want to give this a shot. And yeah, that's gonna be list for today. Let's go ahead and get into some games. Playing an Aurora, and we're playing Krama's deck. Let's see how we board an Aurora. I think we kind of probably up towards the more defensive package. So let's bring our flicks, and then kind of debating between whether or not we want like Cosmics versus CNCs. I think this deck runs just 27 blues natively, so I feel like the higher blue count is maybe more impactful. But the problem is we're not running any AB, so it's a little bit of a toss up between that and CNC. But CNC is like generally quite bad in Aurora. I think I'm gonna opt for the higher blue count. 30 blue seems pretty good. So let's try like this. All right, we have a Sacred Art to start it out. It's pretty good. So you can do that, Sacred Art, grab Chase, probably leak a decent bit of damage on the Arsenal aspect. I guess the question is it better to just save that for next turn, or do we want to leak some damage this turn? I feel like leaking the damage might be fine. It's a lot of one attacks, so like getting like 4 or 5 health out of them is probably okay. And we also get to turn on Traverse, which is well worth it. All right, go ahead and Sacred Art. And the question I guess I have is, do we want to get Chase or do we want to get like the One of Breed? I feel like One of Breed might be a little bit more annoying just because we're making extra Tiger. Like the Chase isn't gonna matter, assuming they have cards to block with in hand, which Aurora like surprisingly does actually block pretty well. All right, gain a resource, activate. We could also grab a swipe if we wanted to like get cute, but I don't think we need to. We might need to play around like Sigil of Suffering, but like Sigil of Suffering on like turn 1 doesn't really matter a ton. Let's go ahead and get the breed here. Leave the chases in the deck, I think. And we're kind of setting ourselves up for a chase aspect next turn. And then just sending a bunch of 1 attacks is pretty annoying. Alright, so we already leaked 3 damage, and then we're getting 3 more tigers to come in as well. It's not bad. Yeah, it looks like they might have react here or something. Alright, so they do have a sigil. I guess the question is like, do we want an Arsenal aspect versus Arsenal Tiger? I feel like aspect might be a little bit better than a tiger. So maybe we're fine to just take this. I think the Sigil of Suffering was definitely like a consideration this turn, but I think it matters a ton. Like they're not going to be able to pair it with the CLV and do anything, right? Because like if they draw a card, then they're just drawing up to the same number of cards. So I think that's okay there. We'll just send in 3 more 1/1 tigers, leak a little bit more damage, maybe get 4 damage out of them. I'd probably be kind of happy with. All right, then we just get to Arsenal aspect here, which is very solid. Surprised they're not blocking a little bit more. Like even just on like a 2-attack tiger and a 1-attack tiger. But me, other hand, is not receptive to that. Okay, Sigil Solace makes sense. So we're only leaking 3 damage here. A little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. Still just setting up chi index so that we have traverse, and then we can potentially like shuffle back into the chi later. All right, this hand's good. We might not be playing the mauling key this turn, assuming we're popping traverse. All right, coming with fluttering sounds good to me. All right, electrostatic is fine. I think our plan is to grab Chase here and then just Arsenal Mauling. Mauling's not a terrible Arsenal. And so the last thing is, so they haven't used their electrostatic, so they're guaranteed to play another attack. So if it is a snatch, we probably want to hold back a little bit. So we're gonna say no blocks on this. But pitching the Starfall is kind of interesting. All right, just another stack shock. I guess that makes sense if they don't have Gogan. All right, so let's go ahead and just pop Traverse here. Notably, we don't have AB. Oh yeah, I forgot we don't have AB, so there was no way to play around Sigil Suffering, right? All right, let's go ahead and grab our Chi. Just do a nice little chase aspect line. Finish on Arsenaling Mauling. But kind of mid-turn from them, if I'm being honest. Let's go ahead and Kakara, do our chase aspect thing, and then pass back. All right, it seems like they have a snatch that they were thinking about blocking with, so try to play around that for next turn. We do have our pouncing paw still up, so it's probably going to be a pretty efficient breakpoint to cover with like 3+1. For what it's worth, we could also try to Arsenal Tiger here. I wonder if that's actually better than going for Chase. So Chase is 6 damage, or Chase is 7 damage, this is 6 damage. Doing an Arsenal Tiger, yeah, it's actually better. We're losing out on the 1 damage, but we get a Tiger in Arsenal. It might actually be better than just going for Chase here. It's close. I guess the question is, like, does Mauling brick us more than Tiger does? And I think the answer to that is yes. But we still have Pouncing Paws up, so maybe it doesn't actually matter all that much. It's kind of an interesting choice. I think I'm actually gonna go for the 0 cost then, I think. Send 0 cost, which also reduces like the number of bricks in our deck, and then we can send. Oh, we should have actually maybe waited on this Tiger. That's fine. So now we're not getting this. That's a little bit awkward. All right, so we missed like a damage here. That's fine. I don't want to go back and undo. So I think the correct play was to grab, or I guess we're grabbing swipe, so maybe we on hit get a Tiger anyways. Sure. So I think the correct play was actually to pitch the Chi, basically play the Tiger swipe between these 2 Tigers, and then play the Mauling, guaranteeing that we have the Tiger on the Shuko buff Tiger. So, or I guess we could also put the pump on the Tiger swipe. I don't know. I think there's a couple different ways we could have sequenced it there. That are maybe a little bit better than what we actually did. All right, yeah. So we're missing 1 damage here, unfortunately, but that's kind of okay because like we're getting a lot of stuff out of them right now. And it's kind of funny if they don't block with the snatch again. then the snatch on hit is not going to really matter. I assume they're probably going to block with one of the snatches here. But yeah, missed 1 damage. That's my bad. I imagine they're supposed to actually just give us a snatch here. Yeah. Now that we know that the other card in hand is snatch, if they just like play snatch, then they're gonna have to like they're not really drawing a card, right? They're just probably gonna arsenal the other one. Alright, we get Tiger and Arsenal here, which is good. Sets us up to not brick, although I think we're bricking here anyways a little bit. Kinda wanna just Arsenal Flick. So let's go ahead and just give them the Pouncing Paws anyways. We don't really need to, but I think it's better for our hand to do so. I think it's kind of funny. It was actually maybe a little bit better to Arsenal Mauling in that situation based on the hand we drew. Just because like we could send 10 versus 6. So it's definitely interesting. Yeah, that's not ideal. Yeah, so maybe getting chased was just better. Maybe I was overthinking it. Getting chased is definitely better than what I ended up doing, which is just not getting the on hit on the mauling key. It's still okay here, I think. You also have 2 snatches out of the way for what it's worth. It's generally, I think, one of the better threats in the matchup. All right, Arsenal Flick, and this hand is fantastic, I think. Yeah, this is a really good hand. All right, Burn Up might be hitting us this turn. Kind of depends on what they do. All right, Electrostatic. And what is our follow-up here? Entwine. To reveal or to not reveal? All right, no reveal. No go again. I think we should attempt to block this. 4 damage is probably worth it. If they have press, it's like fine. We get a press out of the way, they get 7 damage. I think it's okay. Alright, they have it. That's fine. Right, pretty good press from them. But we still just have a nice levels turn, so it's not the end of the world here. We might honestly just try to develop out Chase the Tail. It feels a little bit weird with Pouncing Paws. Like, we could open ourselves up to bricking pretty bad. Might be wrong. Might just want to get like a Mulling instead. Alright, back to our turn. What are we getting back with the Preserve? It's probably just Aspect, right? Yeah, Aspect seems fine here. Get the Aspect back. We'll do Draw Go, probably just Arsenal whatever we draw, and then get Mauling. So we do 3, 2, 1, 5. Or 3, 2, 1, 6 kind of, and then Arsenal whatever we draw. Seems okay. Yeah, let's grab the Mauling. Let the levels resolve. Draw Go. Draw Swipe. Swipe could be okay. We're still going to leave our Pouncing Paws up, which is fine. So, I guess the question is, do we want to Arsenal this or play it out now? I don't think there's really a point to Arsenaling this. We might as well just play it, right? It's getting the Shuko buff this turn. So, I don't think there's a real reason to try to Arsenal this. I'll try to keep track and see if that one damage we miss ends up mattering. Hope it doesn't, but could very well. All right, no sigil here is also quite good for us. At least they haven't represented it yet. All right, so you get them down to 9. They have a 4-card hand, which I don't think can deal 20 to us unless it's like the God Aurora hand, which again I don't even know what 4-card hand they could have could deal 20 to us. Normally it's like 16 or so is like the highest limit of like an Aurora hand. Ooh, this hand's really nice. Bite Breeze here might actually come in clutch, especially when they're out of armor. All right, coming in for 7 presumably. Sigil of Suffering on top. It's good to note for next turn, but it's probably not going to matter. So we'll just pass here. I think this hand will just kill. So, all right, drawing. All right, so we don't really care about this. They're just going to draw Sigil. I guess we kind of do care because they get like a free arsenal of Sigil Suffering, but they're not drawing into a threat that can kill us this turn, I guess is what's important. If they manage to keep the CLV around here, they actually might force us to play into Sigil Suffering, but it looks like they're not going to keep it around here. I think they also might have missequenced their Lightning Press there, but functionally we're probably supposed to be at 9. All right, so you have Sigil Suffering in Arsenal, and then we just have a pretty good lineup here. Even if the Biting Breeze doesn't hit, we can still just get a Tiger Up Pouncing Paws, which is kind of why I've been trying to be a little bit patient with them. Just kind of opens ourselves up to bricking a little bit. All right, so they have Sigil Suffering. Do we let this hit? We might honestly be supposed to be letting this hit. I think if they don't block, we let this hit. And just grain on the Tiger afterwards. Because this way we're not like putting the +1 buff on the Biting Breeze. We're putting it on this Tiger. I guess it doesn't matter because this Tiger is also coming in for 1. So we should just do it now, probably. But if they want to sigil this, I think it doesn't matter because then they're just losing out on 4 value. So this I think is fine here. We get Chase the Tail. We can tutor for like another swipe, or just I think Pouncing Key might even be better just because leave a swipe in the deck. All right, so you're gonna use the sigil here. Fortunately, not lining up with the CLV, which is good for us. And then let's go ahead and grab swipe here. Still have pouncing paws available to us if we need it. So I'm gonna just send the hand, and then hopefully we're not freaking super bad next turn. So I think this will demand at least one other card from them. Yeah, the Fluster Fists are interesting. I don't know. It's maybe just like a little bit too much chain enders for me. Maybe like one of this card is like pretty okay though. I don't know. Two feels like a little bit of like kind of a lot, but maybe it's just for combo density, which I can kind of get behind. All right, so they gave us the block there. That was, what did they block with? They blocked with a current funnel. Sounds good. So I think functionally here we should be at like 8, and they should be at like 3 if both players played optimally. All right, with this hand. All right, they're going to send in a Ravenous Rebel this turn. I think it'll just wax on this. That's fine. I don't really want to Arsenal wax on in case we like just draw into like a super brick hand. I'd rather just like save life now as opposed to later. Just in case we draw into like two D-Reacts or whatever, and then we're not able to like Arsenal 1 or something. All right, so let's go ahead and do 2, 1, 4, 5. Should be all right. So I think it demands at least 2 cards from them. We are going off for Pouncing Paws, but it's probably the time to do so. I feel like in general, I try to like save my Pouncing Paws for Pouncing Key in particular, just because like Pouncing Key is like one of the brickiest cards if you just don't have a Tiger available. And so I think we now demand both cards from their hand, which is really good for us, I think. All right, so we get an Arc Lightning and Arcanine Shockwave. That's very good. All right, and this hand should just win. We'll do Draw Go here, and then we'll get. Don't think it really matters, but we'll get Pouncing Key, I guess. Draw Go. Could also done Buffco. Actually, Buffco might have been better. Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself now that I drew the Flick Flack. Yeah, Buffco is better, I think, just because they're so low. And if we draw into, like, we already have an arsenal that we wanted. Draw Go is definitely the play. But it's still okay here. We should at least strip them of most of their cards here. And it seems like they had 2 no blocks in hand, so it kind of works. Okay, so a little bit of suboptimal play for my part, but deck seems pretty sweet. Again, I don't really know if this is how Crombo would exactly board into Aurora. I'm kind of just speculating here, but having 30 blues seems like it makes sense to me, and like CNC would not have necessarily been great that game just because they did have Crown. So I'm used to kind of like not boarding CNC into Aurora, so yeah, but that was a pretty good game. Let's see if we can get another here. All right, so we've got a Jarl. Jarl's not a terrible matchup. It's, I think, a good matchup to practice too. So we probably want a decent amount of blues. I think CYB Jarl is currently like the most popular form of Jarl. Let's get rid of the Blanches, and then CNC is like pretty alright in the Jarl. What do we not want? Wax On's pretty bad. Could run the Warmongers for extra blues. I'm kind of not opposed to that. Give them a good luck, have fun, so they don't leave. Growls are maybe like whatever. Could just fat deck Euro a little bit too. I'm not necessarily opposed to that. Yeah, sure. Let's fat deck Euro. That's fine. All right, seems like more of an earthy Jarl, which kind of leads me to believe it's more decomposy. All right, starting out with imposing, probably just getting an early crumble. Makes sense to me. I think a lot of Kasayas have been, or I think a lot of players normally just kind of lead off on Kasaya, which I think is correct. All right, so they're leading off on Crumble, also a fan of the channel. Thank you for your support. What do we want to do here? Again, kind of blows. I'm obviously not popping like Pouncing Pause or overnight. Oh, it keeps you up late night. Nice. Let's go ahead and just send in kind of like a lackluster hand. Let's like overpitch Aspect, because Aspect's like a pretty good threat to leave in the deck. Can't remember who won the die roll. Did I win the die roll or did they? Because normally I like to go first in the Earl, I think. I think it doesn't matter a ton, because like you can kind of just set it up a crumble whenever. I don't know. First and second Earl seems like it doesn't matter a great deal to me. All right, let's go ahead and pass it here. Do we have a react? No react. Okay, sounds good. And then we Arsenal Stir the Pot, which is pretty good to Arsenal against Jarl. Especially if they try to go for like a CNC pummel or something. Okay, Icequake is a little bit scary, but pitching a pummel I think is probably good for me. Ooh, that is a red hand, my friend. Yikes. Okay. That's unfortunate. I sorry about that. Our hand's really good though, so I'm gonna try to play out our hand and then maybe Arsenal Flick here. Like, I don't think the frostbites actually matter all that much. But yeah, that is a rough hand. Yikes. All right, let's go ahead and start with Kakara. I think we're gonna. We could have actually blocked with Flick Flack there, and then we hold on to a Transcend card. I guess it will kind of depend on what they do here. Okay, if they're doing this, then maybe we just want the resources for what it's worth. Let's go ahead and banish. I don't know here. We can banish like Icequake. I don't want to give them Decompose if they somehow manage to get to 4. Yeah, I think we should have probably blocked the Flick Flack that turn. I think I was a little bit distracted. All right, that's fine though. Let's go ahead and just activate Zen. Get what here? Get like a Mauling, and that's fine. You can also just like IP with Chi. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, let's just get a Mauling. Yeah, I think the sequencing here was not correct. I think we should have blocked with Flick Flack, and then we just have infinite resources, and then we can hold on to Stir the Pot and Arsenal. It's probably worth it. A little bit of a punt from me. Oh, that's okay though. IP a little bit here, but kind of okay. Got Earth Form. Interesting. Could be pretty good depending on what they have. What do we want to do here? I almost feel like we take this and then just pitch the Flick Flack. We should not have this Flick Flack in our hand for what's worth. Like, we probably should have blocked with it way earlier. So now we have a chance to draw into blue. So we kind of hurt ourselves pretty bad here. But maybe it's okay. We could also block with Chase plus Flick, and then we deny the Earth Form. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Right. JC's mom says hi. Or sorry, no, JC is saying hi to his mom. Okay, let's go ahead and I think we're yeah, this is the fault of this, I basically put myself in this situation, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and just block this. I'm gonna block with Flick. Still have Stalagmite up, which is really awkward. Let's go ahead and grab Swipe here. This way we're playing around Stalagmite because we can at least pitch the aspect. If they Blizzard, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, IPing with that Flick Flack is pretty bad. Not ideal normally. It's okay though. I think I was just thinking I was gonna play the Stir of the Pot from Arsenal, but I forgot that we had like 3 Chi in hand, so. Alright, follow up with the swipe. So if they slide mine here, it's not the end of the world. Sure. So I managed to get a Mangle here, which is definitely annoying. But yeah, I think we'll just pass it back. Pretty good hand. Start with a Sotomaro. Interesting. Then we got Mangle, 3 other cards in hand. We saw Pummel pitch with a bunch of reds. So there's basically 2 Pummels left. Oh, I guess they search with Mangle, so now we don't know the pitch deck. Right. That would make sense. All right, pitching Felling, so that will give it +2. Is that how it works? Yeah. Ooh, geez, another super red hand. All right, so I think we're probably just losing Kasaya here, which is fine. So we'll go ahead and block with it, and then no reason to block with anything else, because if we do, then we just give them the Mangle, and I think that's probably not worth it. Alright, so lose out on Kasaya, but we get to develop out more chi in the deck, which is very important. Let's go ahead and do Wind Chakra Stir. I think we might be saving this other Wind Chakra for pitch if they have a like Blizzard or something. And then let's go ahead and Sacred Art. And then grab our Chase. We should be pretty safe from Blizzard here. I think we also saw Blizzard pitch earlier, so I think the only thing that really hoses us here is like double Blizzard. This might be a Flexor's turn though. Yeah, it could definitely be pretty good this turn. How wide are we going? We do 4 pitch here. I don't know if we can afford to play Aspect here, unfortunately, because like if we play out Aspect, then we just lose to Blizzard, I think, like on the spot. So it's a little bit awkward here. I think we're just probably going to Arsenal it. In which case, we play the Tiger first, I think. Coming in for 5. Then we do 2 and attempt to do 1. And then if they manage to Blizzard us, then we just Arsenal Tiger and then keep the Aspect. All right, so we're getting 6 value out of the Quick Dodge, which is pretty good. And then they can get an additional 2 if they want to. It's not bad. Depends what they want to do. All right, finish with the Tiger. All right, life total is a little bit more even. We got Quick Dodge out of the way, so things are looking pretty good. All right, and a CLF. Very, very nice. Okay, so what do we want to do here? So we basically have to pay 2 into the first thing we do. So Kakara would cost 4, which means we can't play anything else after Kakara. We could just send a CNC at them. Pitch like we have to pitch 4 to CNC, and we just get rid of our hand. I think I'm kind of okay with that. Also means they can't use reactions, so they have to like block with real cards if they want to. So I don't think this is actually that bad here. Obviously, sending a CNC when they don't have an arsenal is like whatever, but it can be pretty good. Even CNC with just the top line of text is sometimes just pretty all right. All right, go ahead and pass back. Double Tiger Eye. All right, they have a Blizzard here and an Oakenold. Interesting. They have a card in hand that they don't want to pitch to Gauntlet. So it's not blue, which means they have a red in arsenal. They're pitching an Oakenold next to a Blizzard. All right, how do we want to navigate this? This might honestly be an okay turn to pop Traverse because they're not going to be able to keep CLF around. Like, I don't think there's any way they can keep CLF around at this point, right? Because this is the first counter. Yeah. So I think we're safe. We also seen 2 Blizzards put in the deck, although I think one's might be shuffled at this point. So we block 5 here. We can just do a chase aspect at them, I think. Should be pretty safe. And then maybe just finish on CNC. Seems okay. Normally I try to save Traverse for like Cosmic, but if you have the opportunity to line it up, I think going for Chase is sometimes worth it. All right, so sequencing here. Let's go ahead and grab Chase. Well, let's play out the Banished Tiger first, I guess. Well, I think we were going to try to Arsenal the Tiger Eye, barring any Blizzard effects. So let's pitch Homage, which feels weird because I generally like to Arsenal Homage a little bit more than Tiger Eye, but I think it works out in terms of the resource curve here. I think we're wasting a Tiger here, if I'm not mistaken. But is what it is. Oh, whoops. Sorry. All right, aspect. Alright, blocking with an Ice Quake, sure. Alright, so then we will... Do we want to send in Kakara? I think let's guarantee that we get the chase value first, and then we can decide maybe to send in Kakara. But I think we're probably just going to end up sending Tiger plus CNC at them. I think we also maybe had the opportunity to distribute our damage a little bit better, but I don't think it matters a ton. Alright, Tiger for 0, CNC for 6. So they still have Crown here, so they can crown away their arsenal and get a 2-card hand, but shouldn't be too afraid, especially with the Reflex and Arsenal. Alright, Arsenal, Tiger Eye, and this hand's kinda mid. Yeah, not a big fan of this hand, but that's okay. Probably just trying to block with Tiger Eye this turn, assuming they like just end like Hammer or something. Yeah, we might honestly just overpitch just so that we can, or you could also just block with Aspect. Is it worth taking 1 damage to have an Aspect in the deck? Maybe, honestly. Sure, I think that's probably fine. Alright, and then we have 3 of our Chase Materials are gone. So Aspect in lip deck is like a little bit less impactful. I don't know. Let's go ahead and pitch Aspect to Kakara. 2-1-6, and then Arsenal Rising Sun, which sets us up well for next turn. Still got a lot of our armor left. So we're in a decent spot here. We can also still play around Blizzard if we so desire, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be necessary here. So imagine they give us like 2 cards here, or they just have like the nut hand and then they like Okanold us, but should be an alright spot. Even if we get Okanold, I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, it feels like we got a decent life buffer here. Alright, Terra Cinder block. So keeping a 2-card hand from them. So this feels like it might be like CNC or like Felling or something. Or CLF. CLF also makes sense. Fortunately, for what it's worth, we managed to draw the all-blue hand. What does this mean? What are we doing here? Alright, so levels will cost 3. We can activate Zen, get Tiger, which will then cost an additional 1, which means we get all 3 modes on levels. I think that's how it works. So pitch the Chakra, activate Zen, which will cost an additional 1. Tiger will cost 1, so we just get a 0 cost here. And get like a Fluster or something. It's pretty alright. Interesting. Is that even good? If we don't draw into a blue, it's like pretty bad to play this, but maybe we just play it anyways for fun. We also have the Rising Sun that I kind of forgot about. Mainly because we can't like... I guess we can play levels pitching 2, and we can potentially cast Rising Sun afterwards. It's a pretty good draw, if I don't mind. Okay, we draw the blue anyways. Okay, we're just drawing super hot. No 2 ways about it. So pitch 1 to Tiger, pitch 1 to Fluster. I think that might be the most damage I've ever pushed through a CLF before. It's kind of disgusting. And we also just get to hold on to the Rising for a future turn. It's pretty nasty. So I think we demand a card or Tunic from them this turn. And then It shouldn't be able to keep CLF around forever, so should be in a pretty alright spot. Also, we've not seen a CYB yet, so I'm kind of curious if they're on it. Ooh, Felling's pretty nice here. Not too bad. Wonder where they get. Oh, they got the one banished from banished. Sotomaro banished itself. That's kind of cool. I like Sotomaro as a card. It's kind of a neat card. I haven't had these. I feel like I don't know if this card's like actually good in Verdants, but it seems like it's pretty good in Jarl. Let's go ahead and banish Warmongers here, and then we could block this, but we also just like don't have to. Yeah, let's block it. It's probably fine. Block a little bit. Could end up getting Blizzard this turn, but we'll try to do it. We'll try to Kakara first so that if they Blizzard, we can just pay into it. Alright, activate Zen. I'm gonna play as though they don't have Blizzards, so maybe we're fine just getting like. Do we get Mauling or doing like the last breed? Maybe breed's like a little bit more. Maybe I'm like more okay losing out on breed if they do go for Blizzard. I just wanted to do 2 Kakar first in case they end up having it. But it's not the end of the world if we like lose out on breed anger. I feel like I'd feel a little bit worse about losing Mauling. So I think they have React here, makes sense, and then 1 additional Tiger afterwards. Pretty good spot tempo-wise this game. They've also been drawing like incredibly poorly for what it's worth. Like they had like multiple all red hands. I think I think they had at least 2 all red hands, and they had like I think another hand that was pretty red heavy as well. So maybe just a little bit of an unfortunate game on their end. Ooh, the Fellings are fucking bringing it back though. Let me tell you that. Yeah, I think we're probably just gonna get rid of like the 100 ones here, and then block bouncing, and then just do Rising Sun. Seems worth it. I think now is probably the opportunity to try to kill here. Let's do Wind Chakra, Rising Sun. I don't know if we need the flick. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of the flick. And then let's do Kakara. Should be able to pay for Blizzard here, so I think I am just gonna go for Chase. Alright, so we got the first Blizzard. That's fine. So pay 2, pitching the bouncing. Curious if they have the second one though. So I think they do still have 2 Blizzards in the deck for what it's worth. Wait, did we lose all our Chase Tails? Oh, we did lose all our Chase Tails. Alright, that's on me for not noticing that. Let's just get Mauling and then send it. It's probably fine. Yeah, I think we blocked with the Chase Tail early. Is that what it was? And then we played 1. And I think we may have blocked with 1. I think I was under the impression we may still had 1. But seems like we're good here. We played around the 1 Blizzard at least. Right. GG's. Yeah. Seems like a pretty rough draw from our opponent. I kind of want to take a look at their pitch stack and see like what it was. So I think this was the start of their pitch stack. So we have like I think the pummel might have been the shuffle point. I remember the So getting pitched, I think. And then actually maybe Oaken was I remember Oaken getting pitched next to Blizzard. So I think it was like maybe around here is like the start of their pitch stack, which is kind of weird for Jarl because I think they did shuffle off of the Unforgiving. The Unforgetting was actually pretty good this game. Like just pretty solid on hit getting rid of Kasaya. That really was pretty good. But respect for them for not playing the CYB deck for what it's worth. I think their deck is a lot more closer to probably what I would play as Jarl, which is just like more like mid-range kind of like value pile. I think this list does a lot better into Zen than like the CYB deck does. So pretty cool list from them. All right, so I think that's gonna probably wrap it up for today. So this was Krama's list. I think he also won his RTN. Krama is a notable Zen player. I think he won the Calling Osaka on a very similar list, just a very kind of combo heavy list. And I think this list is like actually really solid. It's maybe not for my play style. Like it feels like I sometimes maybe bricked a little bit more frequently than I would with like the Tiger package. But I think that this deck like sacrifices a higher floor for a higher ceiling basically. So this is more like high ceiling, low floor. And I think like the list I normally play is more like higher floor, lower ceiling kind of thing. Like, but I think there's definitely like merit to the style list. I don't think that the floor is maybe even that lower. Like honestly, maybe it's just a kind of like playstyle thing. But yeah, this list is pretty interesting. The Gust Wave package I think is definitely interesting to me. Having like a bunch of chain enders, like I feel like I normally try to max out around like six-ish chain enders in my deck, so like 7, 8, and then maybe the Blations are more so poppers than anything. So like 8 chain enders is like a little bit much, but it's definitely like a pretty solid list and obviously performed pretty well. So definitely going to maybe try to like goldfish this list and see if I can kind of crack the sauce of what he's kind of cooking here. But yeah, pretty solid list. I think that's probably gonna wrap it up for today. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.